Hello, welcome to Trailers and Trash, test episode number 6. Before we get started, quick little reminder, Railroad Days in Alberton, Montana, July 18th at 9 a.m. There will be a pancake breakfast. At 11 a.m. there will be a parade featuring vendors and a petting zoo. There will be an Old West reenactment, followed by a bluegrass jam, ending the day with Rob Quist, who got paid like $5,000 to play. So go to Railroad Days. Help support Alberton. It's a great town. It's a celebration of the pioneer spirit. Trailers and Trash is all about that. So yeah, let's start this thing. Today we have a very special guest, my friend and former drone operator, Brandon Bryant. Brandon, thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Nick.
It's a huge honor.
Thank you.
Yeah, we went to high school together, right? We went to study hall. That's where we met.
Yeah.
I was a rule breaker.
I was a rule follower.
You followed the rules.
Yeah.
But we had study hall together.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was we would share books and talk like the Dragonlance book.
The Dragonlance novels. Yeah, we found a huge thing in common there. Who is your favorite character out of all of them? Who is your favorite?
I mean, of course, I think everyone likes Tasselhoff.
Tasselhoff is awesome.
Yeah, but I liked.
He was a bringer of chaos.
I
love that about him.
Huma, actually.
Huma, yeah.
Yeah, he was probably my. I'd say that he was probably my favorite.
Huma and Sturm. I like Sturm because Sturm really, dude. He took it upon himself, man. Who was it was hard for him.
The Minotaur.
Oh,
Kaz,
yeah.
He was.
Mina's like right hand man.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was pretty badass.
And you introduced me to a band called the Moldy Peaches.
Yeah.
Who I hated at the time, but I came back to them at a flap house 3 years later at Max Bartley's house, who was on test episode number 5 just last time on Trailers and Trash, his house, and I love them. What's your favorite Moldy Peaches line?
To be honest, it's been a while since I've actually listened to them, but I remember actually. You know who got me into them?
Who?
Not Kyle Davis, but it was Kyle Miller.
Kyle Miller.
He was.
I remember him.
He would just put I asked him for like a random CD full of music,
mm-hmm.
and that's actually. After listening to that for a while, that was what we listened to and studied.
Who would have known that Kyle Miller had taste?
I
never would have guessed that.
I don't know,
good taste in anime maybe, but like punk rock.
Yeah, and that's kind of like hanging out with you and getting seeing you be a rule breaker. Probably actually, you're probably one of the people that I got along with the most, simply because I think you understood that I wasn't going to enforce the rules on anyone else.
No, you followed your own example.
Yeah.
You never judged me. You're always nothing but friendly to me. And I was, imagine this if I was just like a slacker, not responsible, cut off shorts, long hair. That's kind of how I was in high school. I've grown up a lot since then. I've really matured.
Yeah.
And grown past that. My favorite Moldy Peaches line, going back to that, is probably "Holy Mary, Mother of God, Grandpa's on the hobby horse again." I don't know why that. From Lucky Number 9, that line always stuck with me. Did you bring any poetry, by the way? I forgot to ask you before we got together.
No, I actually didn't. I actually could access it from my phone.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So let's see if this works.
Brandon here, he's had quite a life. He's a poet. He's a former drone operator. He is a friend. He enjoys pizza. We enjoyed some pizza last time he came over.
Yeah.
We kind of hang out sometimes. It's no big deal. He's been on CNN and MSNBC, and
it's not that thrilling, to be honest.
No, we'll talk. We're gonna get back to that. We're gonna get back to that.
Let's see here. I have one. I have one that I wrote.
See, this is a downfall of the technological generation.
Yeah,
It used to be you just carry all your poems around you in a briefcase.
that's true.
You'd carry
That's
them.
true.
You'd carry them to coffee shops
Yeah.
and milk crates, and you'd read them to the world. And nowadays, you gotta pull them out of your phone.
I actually carry a notebook with paper. Actually, I impressed a girl.
What's paper?
It's got
For everybody that doesn't know.
Paper is a product. Actually, this is hemp paper, so it's made out of a hemp derivative industrial product that is good for taking some sort of ink or crayon or charcoal
Okay.
and marking on it.
And you mark on it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and you can write. You can use language.
Yes, you can use.
You can draw.
Yeah, you can create
Yep.
your own language. Your own,
Yep.
Yeah. I actually impressed a girl because when I went, instead of asking for her number, I was like, here's my number. You can text me if you want to. And I got out a piece of paper and wrote it down. And she was just like, ooh, I'm gonna call that one.
Impressive. Did you have a nice pen?
I had a really nice pen.
That always gets it done, having a nice pen.
It does.
That does.
It was like that's exactly what she told me. She's like your pen was nice. Your punctuation and marking were clear and concise, and it was written on real paper.
And you were a suitor.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't like, let me pull out my iPad from my pocket and oh, I'm locked out. I forgot my password.
Pretty funny.
Dog, please.
Yeah. So here's actually a poem that I did write. So the origin of this kind of thing was like I couldn't sleep, and so like I was just kind of seeing all of my ideals kind of systematically destroyed in front of me, where it was like I was watching people who did the same job that I did. They didn't care about honor or.
This is when you were a drone operator,
yeah, this
right?
was so this was written while
this was post or during?
During.
Okay.
So this was during that time, and this was shortly after my second Hellfire shot, in which I killed a child, and like it was at that point, like I'd seen American soldiers die, I'd seen what I was told was enemy combatants die, and I witnessed through our own lack of some sort of awareness, like civilian casualty.
Lack of awareness, maybe lack of transparency.
Lack of transparency
on the part of your bosses, your higher ups.
Yeah, and them,
which there is a necessity for that, though.
And
there is a certain necessity, but they were not.
They were just excusing it as like the idea of them telling me that it was a dog was, I didn't think that they did it out of malice. They did it because they wanted me to just forget about it, kind of in my own head, be like, hey, you're going to see this shit. This is how you deal with it. You just pretend otherwise. And it wasn't some sort of malicious attack. It was just them telling me, dude, if that fucking bothers you, just think of it this way.
Sure.
And which is very, I would consider sociopathic tendencies to.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, often when people get in positions of power, they did have you seen the movie? It's called The Study of Evil.
Nope.
Basically, they put, I think I can't remember how many. It was like 12 people downstairs in a locked basement, and they made half of them guards and half of them prisoners.
Okay. This is the Stanford approach.
And then they left. Yeah. And then they left it up to them entirely. The people that were put in a leadership position all became incredibly cruel and incredibly corrupt. And so it's human nature to do that, where we all have that capacity to do that if put in that position.
Yeah, and like the guys that were prisoners actually believed that they were prisoners when they started the program, knowing that they were free people. Yeah. And if they wanted to step out, they could do it at any time.
They could sign off.
Yes, but they just couldn't do it.
For the sake of science, or
It was, but they started believing it. That's kind of what it is with the military mindset as well.
Well, just like anything, not everybody in a leadership position is like, corrupt or like, is going to take it too far.
Right. But it's still like getting through, like there's still that like mental alteration that goes on. It's maybe not as bad as that.
And you don't have to be corrupt to take your leadership and your power too far.
Right.
Either.
And that's kind of where I was at was I actually really just didn't trust my leadership at all because I just kept seeing them make poor decisions and poor decisions and poor decisions and then excusing it and like promoting people that didn't deserve to be promoted.
Yeah.
And excusing like the right way to do paperwork. Like, I mean, it sounds dumb, but the right way to do paperwork in response to like hellfire missile strikes.
Yeah, everything has to be logged.
Yeah,
right? I mean, it does to a point.
And that's.
But you were saying, I watched an interview you did where you were saying they handed you like, in your eyes, it was like they were handing you a scorecard, and you felt you did not like you didn't like that. You were kind of upset that like it was presented to you in such a manner.
Yeah, it was like,
because that's ridiculous to like.
Yeah, it was like, oh, here's you. The person that gave it to me was like, do you want your statistics? And I was like, statistics? We keep track of this shit? And I didn't really like think about it in a term of like, apparently people were using this stuff on their like EPRs.
What's an EPR?
It's an enlisted performance report.
Okay.
Like you get once a year, and it details how great you are and how great you served the military. And the Air Force couldn't exist without you getting your shit done. And it's just like, it's ridiculous and bogus and incredibly a lot of bullshit. But people were using numbers like these in their EPRs for promotion purposes.
Sure.
And I never did because it was like
that's not a means of promotion. That's somebody doing their duty.
Right.
As a soldier,
like
you know,
like why like if you like all I really had on my EPRs was like the soldier did everything that he needed to do.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even my first supervisor, he gave me a 3 EPR out of 5, even though I earned a 5. He gave me a 3 because he believed that he shouldn't give an airman's first EPR anything above a 3. But I did everything that I needed to and more to be successful. And he's like, let this be a lesson to you, and do better. And I was like, how can I do better when I've already done the best that I could to get this?
Yeah.
So it's like, there was all this like really bizarre mindset.
And you're kind of like conditioned to compete, right?
Yeah.
In a weird way, which is entirely like, that's just that.
Yeah.
Is fucked to me. I mean, I understand that there is a need for the military, you know, for somebody to, you know, like, hold the big stick. There is a need for that. I kind of feel like society and humans have proven themselves time and time again that they're just going to kill each other.
Yeah.
If there's no like governing body.
Right.
You know.
But like what gets me though is that there's all this. I mean, we're in the middle of fucking war, and people are so caught up in their drama bullshit, and it was like a lot of people just couldn't take the job seriously.
It's a pretty serious job. It's you know, it's the most serious job.
I mean, and there would be people like, and people, okay, get this, people would come to me and be like, I don't have PTSD, or there's nothing wrong with me. There's people getting drunk, getting pulled over drunk. We had a lot of drunk drivers. We had people I remember there was this one kid. He will know who he is if he ever watches this or whatever. But he got into a car accident, rolled his car in Las Vegas, and he was drunk because he couldn't sleep because he was fucking having a miserable time. And so, but he told our supervisors, he told our leadership that he was just too tired and too worn out from work, and he fell asleep at the wheel. No, he was fucking wasted, crawled out of his vehicle and got a ride home. And
oh my god!
Like people just turned a blind eye to it. Like
yeah.
We didn't want, like, we were told that if we had any mental issues, we were bad. Like we
so
sucked.
They basically condition you to like follow orders, not like a human, and then you're put out in society amongst humans that function like you know, like peaceful society does, because that's how it is in America. We function like a peaceful society, and then people have no idea really what to do.
Yeah, but it's like talking about this, like understanding like what went on psychologically. Like this is something that I've like intensely studied about myself, like what the fucking origin of this stuff was. But if we were intimidated because our security clearances were on the line. If you have any mental health issues, they'll take away your security clearance.
Yeah.
So admitting any sort of problems was relegated to whatever religious preference you had.
Okay.
And then whatever religious preference you had, like I'm a recovering Christian.
Recovering, is that how you put it?
Recovering Christian.
Okay.
I'm a recovering Christian. And like, not to mention severe abuse in that regard of believing that you're a sinner from when you're like 6 years old.
All that guilt, that goes with it.
But fucking being told again, like I feel guilty for doing what I've been doing, telling a chaplain this, and the chaplain's single response is, "It's God's will for those people to be killed." And I'm like,
oh my gosh,
it's God's will for me to fucking feel this incredibly emotional burden of what I've done. Not understanding, not only that, but I was having a lot of difficulties with the drama that was going on in the squadron.
I've always felt that a huge cop-out with religion. Yeah. I mean, there are things that go on in this world. There's no way a peaceful, loving God, would allow to happen.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the point where it comes down to, like, humans are completely responsible for their own decisions. It doesn't, like...
Absolutely, you can't...
You cannot deny it when our world's in the condition that it's in.
Yeah, now I kind of, believe in a creator, maybe a great spirit, on the fence about that, on the fence.
I like the quantum.
But maybe it's a creator, like it's, he created this playground and it's our responsibility to play right.
Right. I believe in kind of like the quantum physics type explanation that God is simply like the single point of where every single point of data, possible, probable future is at one point, and then we're just kind of experiencing one actual reality of infinite realities.
Okay, back on track. Let's do a quick backflip here. Can you still do a backflip, by the way?
I can do a backflip.
Will you do a backflip for us? And then I want to talk about the press.
Okay, yes, I can do a backflip for you.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's incredible. Here, I'll move the dog tether. Now, back in high school, before Facebook and before Snapchat and before Instagram, Brandon here could do a backflip, and it was amazing. You actually had to be there in person to see it, though. You couldn't just videotape him doing a Snapchat, send it to all your friends. You actually had to go to the gym and watch him do a backflip. But now, with the advent of modern technology and live streaming YouTube, we are going to watch Brandon Bryant do a backflip before we talk about the press.
Okay. Let's see here. Can you see me? Good?
Yeah, you're good.
Thank you.
Awesome. That was incredible. That was truly amazing. So the press. Let's talk about the press. You have been interviewed by CNN.
Yes,
you have been interviewed by Fox. You've been interviewed by MSNBC. You're being interviewed on Trailers and Trash, America's brokest #1 talking show. Who was your least favorite? I watched the CNN interview, and I want to say, CNN, fuck you. You guys were awful. I mean, straight up. You guys were awful. I mean, the press is able to create an image for anything they want, and you kind of got unwillingly thrown into this position as the poster child for like the drones, which you told me before it was extremely insulting to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched the CNN interview, and the way that they orchestrated that, I felt was terribly unfair. I'm not even going to go into the specifics of it. If you want to watch it, it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Type in Brandon Bryant's name, and you'll get the list. But let's talk about that.
There's a guy that is a great dancer out there, and
they share a name, Brandon Bryant.
We share a name, so, but I mean, I'm not that great of a dancer, so please don't confuse me with him.
I almost did. I was like, oh, Brandon Bryant, Dancing with the Stars too. This man has lived a colorful life. is kind of what I was thinking. But let's talk about the CNN interview first of all. How did it make you feel, Brandon Bryant?
How did it make me?
How did it make you feel? The way they kind of like put you on the spot. You weren't prepared. They kind of like took everything that they wanted to out of context and put it together to create this image. They kind of created an image to suit their needs as a media company, rather than doing their job as journalists. That's kind of how I felt about it.
Oh, you're exactly right. And I did these things. I mean, I had to do a lot of the things that I've done to understand like the depth of evil that actually exists in this world. Yeah. And like, I mean, I was part of the military. I was an honorable discharge. I've interacted with the military. I've interacted with the media, which controls the information that everyone receives. Like, this is what's important in the media, so this is what's important to humanity.
Which is slowly changing. Like, the mainstream media companies aren't entirely in charge anymore.
Right.
Which is awesome. That's what I love about new technology. It's one of the few things that I love and embrace about new technology.
Yes, and that's what I like about this type of deal, is that we can discuss this with really not being censored.
No censorship.
Like, the cool part about it is that, like, I understand how real evil our modern media is. Like, I really do. And
it's a machine. It's a machine that is meant like solely to generate income.
Yeah.
And I could tell with the way they phrased like that lead-in question, they were trying to get you to crack. They were trying to make you cry because that's what's going to get the ratings.
I think that's always been the funniest thing, is like,
'cause I know everything about getting ratings.
Yeah. I mean, but you're absolutely right. Like, they want that emotional bang, and when they were but
that's not their job as journalists. There's entertainers.
Yeah.
And that's their job to do.
Yeah. And it like. I think the real fact of the matter is like, I faced my fucking demons.
Yeah.
Like, I understand exactly what it is that I have done, probably better than any person in my capacity has ever experienced. Like, I have
absolutely
thought about it on every intensive level that one could ever think about my actions, and
you're taking steps to do the best you can to reparate what you felt were wrong about your actions.
Right. And so, like, because I've gone through that process, and I continue to go through that process, like, them hitting me with those hard questions they didn't elicit that emotional response I think that they were expecting.
No, it didn't. And I don't think they were even hard questions. They were pretty easy questions. I mean, you knew what the answer was.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. I mean, the questions themselves weren't like intellectually difficult. They were just like emotionally difficult.
Yeah.
And
I thought the Democracy Now! Interview, I felt like they were relatively fair.
Yeah, I think the Democracy Now! Was probably that was the one I did right before going to the UN. New York. So I think that they did really well, because before me, they interviewed the guy who did the report that was presented at the UN.
Okay, sure.
And so I think that was pretty fair. And I don't like Amy Goodman corrected herself halfway through, because she called me a drone pilot, and then
which isn't like that's what I had referred to as a drone pilot before. It's a drone operator. Yeah. A pilot is like in a machine.
Yeah, and so it's just like the United States military fucking hates drones being called drones, because it's like, it's the connotation behind it. It's like what people think when they think of drone, rather than.
But it's what they are. I mean, they're flying robots.
They would, yeah, but they like the distinction of RPAs, or remotely piloted aircraft, or UAVs.
Right.
drones is really an insult to them, which they deserve.
Which is weird, but I mean,
they deserve
that's kind of like
it's what you do.
That's kind of like saying that drone technology is inherently evil.
Yeah.
Which it isn't. I mean, for like in regards of delivering medical supplies.
Yeah.
You know, things like that, delivering your Amazon packages.
Yeah,
you know, whatever. There's a lot. It's gonna be used. It's there, and it's gonna be used now.
Right.
And I think what you're going for in all of the interviews and like all the lectures that I've seen you do is you want more transparency and more responsibility on the part of the U.S. government for how they're using them, and especially with the people that are operating them. You know,
I'd rather have people understand exactly what they're doing when they're in the position that they're doing it, and not in the capacity of them just understanding and excusing it. Like the amount of damage that we are doing utilizing this technology the way that we're doing, in the manner that we're doing it, representing the American people over there, causing them to hate us more because we're cowards in their eyes. Like we're shooting these people from drones, and they view us as like the ultimate.
Yeah, because a lot of people from the Middle East, they have a really like kind of a strong. I don't know how to put
code
this.
Of honor.
Code of honor. They have a strong code of honor, and like battle is a sacred and glorious thing to them.
Correct.
You know, which I don't personally think that there's anything glorious or sacred about battle. For the most part, I've never experienced it. I mean,
and you're absolutely right. I mean, but see, there's a difference between thinking about it in the effect of like it was a sport for men to compete violently, like all those people that for glory and honor, they fought against each other to the death for that aspect.
And it's not really any different in the military.
Well,
in a war capacity, like, you know.
But it is different in that capacity because we're no longer training people to be honorable. We're training people to do a job.
Right.
We don't really have a code of honor.
Okay.
In the military, the code of honor is don't fuck your buddy, like don't betray the United States. Like a lot of people don't understand the Constitution that they swear an oath to uphold and defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic, which technically our politicians and the corporations in our country would be considered domestic enemies of the American people, and the United States military needs to correct that.
Like the like large 2 or 3 corporations that like own everything.
Yeah, like if the military serves the benefit of the greater good, which I believe that they could, it means that they need to stop taking shit money and actually utilize all the training and equipment for the betterment of our people rather than for the exclusive benefit of corporations and politicians.
Sure. Like we need a system and a society that doesn't like run off of generating income. It runs off of meeting the basic needs. And then like the people that go above and beyond to better their community are probably gonna like gain maybe a little more wealth or I mean, no, you're not gonna make everyone happy.
Right. But it's like look at the we have less than 1%. Okay, we'll talk about the veteran issue. The veteran issue is very dear to my heart.
Absolutely. Well, me too. I know vets. My mom has a lot of good friends that are vets and like, you know, Vietnam vets and haven't received like the care, psychological care mostly.
Yeah.
Like they get handed a pretty fat paycheck, but then it's, you know, later.
Yeah. It's,
pretty much.
It's gone. And I've been in that position before. And it sucks because like we have this instead like back in the day, warrior community was separate but within the community. Everyone understood the status of the warrior as someone who fought and protected them on the behalf of those that they loved and cared about, but they lived off the good graces of the community. Like they lived off of the graces of the people that they served. Like the original idea concept of the warrior as the ultimate servant of the people. We've changed that. Like a lot of veterans nowadays, I bet you they kill themselves because they're unsure if they actually did.
There's a really high suicide rate. among veterans.
About 30 veterans a day kill themselves.
Do you know the statistics for for drone operators, former drone operators? I mean, are those even out yet? It's such a recent thing.
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know anyone who killed themselves. I was close to it a couple times. I know people who were close to it a couple times.
Yeah, because I mean, the media had a heyday, and from what I understand, even some people in the military have like a bias against drone operators, which they don't understand that like there's like you were saying, there's people that are controlling those things, that are doing those things, that feel the repercussions of those things.
There really is a huge bias, like, and we have this taboo against mental health. I don't understand why nowadays we have a taboo. Like, people, it's not cool to be smart, and it's not cool to have your shit together. Yeah. Like I rarely run into people, like, actually, to be honest, I don't blame them either, because it's really difficult with all the shit going on to get your shit together.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, but do you mean like the image of being like not having your shit together has become like
it's become
sellable?
It has become sellable.
The slacker image.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're not the slacker. It's like the people who are really just leeches.
Yeah.
On society, and we're not talking about the poor. I'm talking about people like, to get rich, you fucking create a corporation to leech off of the people who are the workers.
You cut throats, and you jump through the right hoops, and you kiss the right butts, and you get to the top. And that's how every like facet of society, like every community, the military community, like even the punk rock community, I'm sure like the celebrity community, out there, it all works the same. It's like, it's a weird hierarchy.
Yeah.
But I think that's slowly changing. Like, there are people out there that are working to change that. I feel like you're working to change that. I feel like.
I'm trying to, but it's really just, I don't know. For the most part, I don't even know what I'm doing.
Before we go any further, let's talk about where we can find you have a lot of material on YouTube. There's a lot to sift through. If you could tell everybody just maybe like 2 or 3 links, or 2 or 3, searches on YouTube. I know there's a Disruption Network Lab on YouTube, which everybody should subscribe to. There's a lot of good information. There's a lecture that you gave on there. That was my favorite of all the material that I watched.
I think that's probably my favorite.
Yeah. And after that, there's no need for you to even talk about the specifics. I mean, publicly, right. To your friends amongst your peers, because that was everything right there. You like said it. So
I know. Thank you for that. That was, I think that was my best talk that I'd ever given.
So everybody who's watching, go to the Disruption Network Lab on YouTube. Subscribe if you want. If you don't subscribe, at least watch the lecture. It's called what is it?
Through the Eyes of a Drone Operator, I think.
I think it's Through the Eyes of a Drone Operator. Yeah.
I just know it's under Disruption Labs Network, drone. I thought that, and that was, I met a lot of good people, and I'm just gonna have to plug it a little bit, simply because of the fact like all those people, like, it wasn't that I had to explain anything new to them. They understood what the basics. They understood everything that's at stake here. Mm-hmm. And they hit me with some difficult questions.
Yeah.
They hit me with some good points of view, and they listened to what I had to say, and they understood.
Which coming from you, that means something, because you get hit with difficult questions.
Yeah.
Almost every interview, I'm sure.
Yeah. And these
were poignant.
Yeah, and they were educated, and they weren't focused on my own personal story, but on, like, what do I see as an issue people need to recognize, and what can people do about it? What do they need to be aware of, the capabilities of these things? A lot of technical stuff, which was important, like when the NSA is saying stuff like, for recording your metadata, don't just excuse it as being, okay, it's just metadata. Metadata gives you a lot of information. Metadata is location, time you've talked, time of the day that you talked. It's the person that you called, how often do you call that person, like every little point of information. And even it's been proven
stuff that you don't need to remember.
Yeah,
sure.
It's been proven. They said that they didn't record voice or anything or text, the actual text, but it's been proven that it's been otherwise. And so they have every single little thing, like there's no escaping it. Every little thing, piece of information that's about us is on
is out there. Yeah, if you use the internet, then they know everything, and we just kind of, I feel like, have to come to terms with that. If you want to spy on me taking a shit, you can spy on me taking a shit. So if you want to spy on me hitting the bong, fine, you know.
And so, but that gives us a really, really big responsibility of, because everything's out there, it's our responsibility to fight for our right to do whatever the fuck we please.
Absolutely. But I mean, yeah, it depends on what we please to do.
But then there's where we come with the responsibility of self, of like understanding your actions, the effect on everyone else.
I think the whole concept of crime and punishment is kind of screwed up. I think there should be way more focus on prevention. Yeah, especially, I mean, with
prevention,
with things like addiction, especially with things like post-traumatic stress disorder.
Non-violent crimes shouldn't be penalized with jail.
Absolutely. Let's talk about I want to talk about the VA a little bit more. Let's go back to you have post-traumatic stress disorder or syndrome.
I would say that it's just post-traumatic stress.
Okay.
Everyone would think that it's disorder, but it's really just.
Oh, there's a difference?
I don't think of it as disorder. It's just the effect of living a really fucked up life.
Right.
Kind of will do to someone, and you can get post-traumatic stress from any traumatic experience that you've experienced.
Absolutely.
And trauma is based on experience, so something that could seem to be light and easy for some might be difficult for others, and others.
Sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. I've given up classifying it simply because people want to be specific about their own.
Absolutely. I don't like classifying any sort of disorder or deficit, or, you know, I think people are just all different. I think you can diagnose every single teenager in the world with ADD, but I don't think you should give every single teenager in the world, or any of them, you know, a script for Ritalin or Adderall or anything like that. I think therapeutic prevention or holistic even is a way better approach for mental things, you know.
And I think the VA has recognized that, at least in Montana, they're kind of going towards that way. But when I first got injured and stuff, like they were like, we will give you medication, and I was like, fuck no, don't give me meds, dude. I do not. I would rather be like fucked up and learn how to deal with
pain,
fucked up, than to be on any sort of medication that would take away my own mental faculties.
Yeah, my grandmother was the same way. My grandmother refused Vicodin or any sort of opiates until she was like 80. And even then, she really didn't want to take them. But it's like, you have earned the right. And come on, we've all tried them, Grandma. We didn't say that, but but yeah, and I think that's a really good trait to have, is, you know, find what makes you feel better. Don't necessarily go on what the doctor tells you is going to make you feel better.
Yeah. And you know, it's been kind of a struggle because, I mean, my patience has been really tried with the VA many times.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of veterans out there who would be considered worse than I am.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why I've gotten at least the amount of help that I have is because I'm persistent, and I'm like, look, I'm trying to get better. The shit that I'm doing is not working, especially with my physical shit. Like, it's not working. I need help getting better, and I'm not sitting there trying to fucking sponge off the system.
Yeah.
They've actually got concrete effort of my injury and my taking care of myself and them not taking care of me.
Yeah.
So now they're just like, well,
which they owe you that. They owe everybody who's gone to work for them, especially in the capacity that you did, in a wartime capacity. I think they owe everybody at least like the therapeutic and the physical
Oh yeah.
compensation, I guess, you know.
And it said that the VA is just the insurance of the military. It's not. It wasn't really created to help military members. It was created to make sure that the government doesn't overhelp people, and they would rather underhelp and save a couple dollars than overhelp people.
Yep.
Even though really the overhelping people doesn't bring
the overhelp is going to be like the basic needs met is kind of what I feel like.
Right.
What do you think that the VA could do to improve, especially like in our local chapters in Montana?
I think I would really say that one of the difficult parts was transitioning, because I wasn't given an opportunity
back into society from the military.
Right. And it doesn't have to be a full transition to civilian. In fact, it shouldn't be. Like we should actually be placing veterans with not only the mental health that they need, but in the leadership positions, because they know a lot of them know what the fuck's going on. But our transition back into society isn't for the betterment of the society. It's just to keep us there,
keep you shut up and satiated, I guess.
Right. So there is no real help to transition back, and if we could figure out a way, because we are a separate caste of people. We're no longer actively serving our military in the capacity of going to war. We have done our service. We have, many of us, especially nowadays, fought and witnessed lots of war atrocities. We cannot connect back with people who have not experienced those things.
Sure, yeah, because here, like in a civilian capacity, here, like living like I do, we have no idea what it's like to be overseas serving in the military. We're so far removed from that, you know.
We're a new generation,
and I feel like that's how hate grows, is like a lack of communication between two different lifestyles, you know. I guess it's kind of oversimplifying it, but you know.
And really the transition that a lot of people make go from serving in the military capacity to doing it contractual wise on the corporation.
Ooh. So it gets pretty nasty there, from what I understand.
Yeah. So I mean, you're looking at people taking skills that they've learned and developed in serving the country, serving people. You're looking at these people now doing it for
a profit. And only for a profit.
Yeah. Actually, my whatever at the poem I wrote.
Oh yeah, let's read that, and I think we're gonna be pretty close to out of time after that. But yeah, read your poem, and then we'll like maybe touch back on anything else that you want to talk about, and we'll say goodnight.
So this is pretty. I feel sort of embarrassed of how much emotion that I put into this, because we're taught being a man with emotions is bad. So forgive me for this.
I'm a rainbow of emotions, my friend. Yeah. It's fine around here on Trailers and Trash.
This is called Battlefield of the Damned. Okay. 1,000 corpses litter the flowing plains where a battle has been fought for all eternity. Screams of the dead and the dying echo in the dark recesses of the human soul. Faces contort in terror at what has been wrought, knowing that they cannot escape even through death. Through the morass of blood, I wait and watch, unable to lift my weapon, a witness to the horror. I watch as a lover becomes a whore, leaving a precious affair for the arms of another. I watch as a warrior becomes a mercenary, abandoning honor for the sake of gold. I watch as a child has all innocence taken, left as dead, for all purposes gone. And I am one of them. I am all of them, and I am none of them. Watching, I see what you do not. Images fade to milky white, then nothing. In the battlefield, there are no sides, just bloodshed, total war. A war of souls on this battlefield of the damned. Few can calm, none can stop. Every horror witness, I wished my eyes to rot. Nothing can be done as chaos rages around me. That is the way of the world. This is the truth of the soul. Shall you listen, or will you fall? After love has been slain, honor destroyed, innocence shattered, hope still lasts the night. Where does this come from, this hope of dreams? It's whispered upon seraph's lips, gliding softly on angels' wings.
That was beautiful, man. I'm glad you ended it positively. I was like, this is going to be really hard to end on a positive note after this poem, but no, that was beautiful. Thank you again.
Well, thank you for listening.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we end transmission here?
Just everyone is responsible for themselves. I mean, that's entirely the point.
And each other, and holding each other
Right.
accountable, which is what you're doing.
Right.
I feel like you're trying to hold people accountable for wrongs, wrongs against society.
And that's
society as a whole, like a world,
right.
Global,
And that's really
sense.
Another point too, is if I have to hold other people accountable, that means I have to hold myself accountable. And the biggest thing is, like, I am holding myself accountable for my own actions. I'm doing this to show that I understand the importance of what this means, and I hope that other people take that same self-look at their lives, that realistic look of their lives, and understand, like, if you can contribute to the betterment of our world and our society, then fucking do it. No one else is going to.
Do it any way you can. It's really easy. It's really easy to reach out to, in this modern age. There's a lot more. There's a lot more to the internet than porn and Facebook, which I've only recently found out. It's our responsibility to use those technologies and do the best we can and spread a message of holding ourselves and our superiors and each other accountable. And just trying to do the right thing. Most people know the difference between right and wrong.
And that's another fucked up thing, is a lot of what our concept of right and wrong in our society is based on just society things. Like, you'll talk to one person, they'll say porn is wrong. You'll talk to another, they'll say porn is not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make prostitution legal.
So basically, they shouldn't watch porn together.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you basically do. You just, like, hey man, I understand you don't like this porn, we're not gonna watch it. And they'll be like, they should just leave you the fuck alone.
Absolutely.
But like there's that general of, like, as long as I don't fuck with you and make your life miserable, please don't fuck with me.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for being here, Brandon. It's been awesome. I know we're not very professional. We're not Fox News around here. We're not CNN around here, but I appreciate you being here. It means a lot. Thanks for watching our one viewer. We had one viewer for
nice.
Half this episode, so that's good. I'm sure a lot more people watch it. Share this. Disruption Network on YouTube. Check it out. Google them. There's lots of literature. Google drone strikes. Find information. Information is power. Don't just take somebody's word for it. Independent research.
Do it. It's all out there. Everything that I've said has been placed out for everyone in the open. There's other sources. Start spreading the word.
Absolutely. And I will see you all July 18th in Alberton on Railroad Days. This has been test episode number 6 of Trailers and Trash. I'm Marles Sparkley. Thank you to our guest, Brandon Bryant. Thank you, Byron, for making the dog not bark. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Good night.